There we go. We are on air. So, yeah. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and wherever you're listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
What's up?
And Mr. Steve Trydale.
Hello.
Mr. Jamie Page.
You all right?
And our very special guest this week is Doc Hildabrant. How are you doing, Doc?
I am lovely. Thank you for asking. How's everyone doing this evening?
I love the way we try and get like a sort of an almost excited start, and then Doc comes on and it's like, oh, I'm really good, thanks. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I can suck all the energy right out of the room. No
Awesome.
problem.
Ain't no one more chilled than Doc.
Absolutely. If you've had an anxious day or week or life, we will just sort it all out this evening. Awesome. Got a few kind of housekeeping, normal, boring things that we do right at the start of the show, Doc, and then we'll be right back with you. So try and keep that enthusiasm bottled up because I know it's about to burst.
I'm gonna do what I can. I'll sit here coiled like a spring.
Awesome. Cool. So this week's shout-outs and thank yous very quickly go to Jim Dockrell, Harneal Media, and our good friend Jurassic Mark Christopher. How are you all? Don't forget, you can also get in touch on all the socials where where Jamie basically frequents to our comments, etc. If you want to leave us a comment, get in touch. We do actually like that because it makes us feel like we've got friends other than sort of the four of us, which is kind of good. As always, this week's podcast is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, Woodturners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad over at Mancrafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, and also Steve Harneal with Harneal Media. If you want to find out more about these guys and girls, I would highly recommend you do because they're all awesome and their stuff is amazing. Visit our website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors, and all the information's up there because Jamie keeps it all up to date because he's good at stuff like that. And the rest of us aren't, basically. So, Chris, do we have, this is a rhetorical question because I already know the answer, what is our random listener question this week?
Yes, we do. And it comes from your better half, which initially got me excited because I thought it was going to be an opportunity to embarrass the crap out of you, Richard. But this is actually...
You need an opportunity.
Where's my step?
This is actually a legitimate question from Hippie Noodle. Hi, Kat.
Wow.
And thanks for asking. She asks, what project have you done and wished that you never would have started? And part two of that question is, and did you see that project through to the end? So the question is, guys, there you go. What project have you started and then gotten into it and then gone, I wish I never would have started this thing? And then did you actually ever finish it or did you just kind of throw it in the trash? So that's the question. Whoever wants to go first.
All right, I'll go first. I'll let you refrain from laughing until I've actually finished the story. But
no guarantees, brother.
But go ahead. Get the question out. We don't go laugh.
Basically, the vast majority of the Scroll Saw projects that I do, mainly the Charles Deering patterns, and it's actually turned into a kind of a running joke between me and Charles Deering that every time I start one of his patterns, I kind of write a status saying, Charles Deering, I hate you. But obviously after the 30 hours is up and my feet have stopped hurting and I'm able to stand again, then the pattern is done, the project's finished, and I can smile again. So I hate the fact that I've started it and I'm halfway through it, but I'm glad when it's done.
But so you've never started a project and not finished it. You've always...
No, I've always finished it.
All right. What about you, Mr. Twydell? Have you started anything and wished that you had never started it? And then did you finish it?
Not really. My problem is I have a million ideas and I start several projects. And it's not that I don't wish that I didn't start it. It's that I wish I had more time to finish all the projects that I start. That's more it. I've got like an abundance of projects that I've started and half videos and even series that I've started on YouTube and not completed and stuff like that. And just time takes over and I move on to the next thing. And then all of a sudden I think, oh, dang, I was doing that, and people want to see it finished too. And yeah, so my problem is I just start too much stuff, and I've got so many ideas that go buzzing around my head that I've never got enough hours in the day.
All right, Richard.
I was just going to say, actually, in after Jamie's, like, so basically every single Scroll Saw project, I like that. We'll just leave it at that. That's fine. It's fine, Jamie. It's fine.
Only the child theories patterns.
So yeah, every Scroll Saw project, awesome. And then Steve, I think most of us, I suffer exactly the same thing. It's almost like that sort of attention deficit thing. You get really into something, and then it's almost like the novelty wears off in a way because you get distracted by another good idea, and then you want to do that, and then you kind of butterfly between things and then forget the first thing. I'm totally with you on that. In terms of projects from hell that I wish I'd never started, I've had a couple. They've all of them they've been commissioned, so I've had to get through, and that's what I think I struggle with mostly, is the fact that I commit to something and then halfway through go, oh God, I wish I didn't do this, but then having to finish it. Do you know what I mean? There's no
you can't get around it because you're being paid to do it, so you got to get it done.
And I think that's what makes the whole scenario worse, because if it was just for me, I'd be like, no, I'm not starting that. No, just it'll be fine. I can just walk away from that, and there's no consequences. Of course, if you've been asked to do it, it's a commission.
I've got a half-finished Grim Reaper that's going to be wearing a Santa Claus outfit at Christmas.
oh, that's right. I forgot. But that thing is awesome too, by the way. What about you, Doc? You got anything that you started and just wish you had never even begun? And did you finish it?
I've punted projects all the time. I see something shiny, I get started. It doesn't happen as much anymore. I'm not such a wily rookie anymore. So I tend to see the whole project when I look at something now and not get involved. But there was a time where I would buy cars and tools and no problem, let me take it all apart without writing anything down or documenting where anything goes. I stripped a motorcycle one time, and it was I ended up with several boxes of motorcycle. There was some motorcycle in that box, no clue where anything went, and then finally sold it to somebody as a box project for $50. The ton, I can't name them all.
Wow.
I bet that's where the whole engine block table idea came from, because somebody took something apart in their living room and then got bored and just went, I'll just put the glass on that, and that's call it. Sure, that's where that came from.
Someone took had a piece of plywood on top of it, Richard, and then went, if I got some nice glass, maybe.
It may never be a motorcycle again, but damn, that's a nice table.
I actually have a good story about a box of motorcycle bits. Very quickly, and it was probably an unfinished project too. There was a guy in Luton in England, where I'm from, and he was a Harley reconditioner. He used to buy Harley Davidsons from around, rebuild them and then sell them. And he bought a box full of Harley Davidson one day off of somebody, and he did the usual thing, phoning up Harley Davidson to find out parts and stuff like that. And then he went off to lunch, and when he came back from lunch, he had like 1 million phone calls, messages on his phone, and he phoned them back, and they said, listen, dude, go and lift the seat cowling up and have a look under the seat of the bike. And when he did that, it said something like, I don't remember the proper words, but it said something like to Buddy, love Elvis.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. And he sold it at auction for 1-point-something million. And
wow.
He was so happy. He was so happy he found that unfinished project. That's a true story. You can look it up.
Yeah. Wow. I can't say I've ever been that lucky. Like ever. Wow. Kat, to answer your question, I started a project, and Jamie will laugh when I mention this. And Jamie, I'd appreciate the fact that you would recognize that I didn't laugh at you, okay? But I started a segmented chair It was part of somebody's scrapwood project competition or some kind of thing that was going on. And I looked at my scrapwood pile, and I had a lot of scrapwood. And so I figured, you know what, I could just cut these little bits up, glue them together and just gradually start making a chair from the ground up. And just as I segmented these pieces together, I could make it into a chair. And yeah, no, I got halfway through that and stopped. And no, I didn't finish it because I absolutely hated it. It was just it was a good idea to begin with, but I didn't unfortunately, like Doc mentioned, I kind of apparently took that rookie type approach to it and didn't know what I was getting into when I actually got into it. And that ended up being yard dice. I cut that up and made something else out of it. It ended up becoming yard dice in a different video. So yeah, I have started one. It's the only project I've ever started and never finished, though, by the way, was that segmented chair, because that just was not a good idea.
It's probably the designs. You need better ones. I'll draw you some up.
Oh, Jesus, no, please do me no favors, Jamie. Don't draw me any more designs. Thank you.
I kind of wish I drew some designs for you this week.
Oh my! Well, I didn't want to mention it in the video, but in defense of Jamie, Jamie was like in the hospital and he was like on Quaaludes or something because he was like totally out of his mind when he sent that to me. But I was like, you know what? It'll be funny. I'll do it. Why not? Anyway, so yeah.
That question actually kind of vaguely, because I'm going to try and draw it back to the reason we're here tonight, and which is obviously Doc, because Doc didn't mention a very long-term project that he's part of, is it 1/2 or 1/3 of the Scratched podcast? Which
I am 1/4 of the Scratch
podcast. 1/4.
Yeah, 1/4 of the Scratch podcast.
I do apologize. Please do not judge me.
No judgment at all from this side.
Could it actually be 1/5 with Bales?
Well, if we count Lenny, it's 1/6. So
1/6.
Your involvement here is slowly going down, by the way.
Yeah, whatever. That's okay.
You are a portion of it, but an important portion.
I am there.
So Doc just shows up.
Obviously, we want to talk about the podcast in depth. I certainly want to know about it because it's not a podcast that I regularly listen to. In fact, I haven't listened to it for a long time, only because I don't have time really to listen to any podcasts. I don't even listen to this one. Once it's done, it's up to Chris, actually. But the Red Smith in the chat, he has asked specifically for you, if the chat hasn't zoomed on, so it's off the screen. What's the best part and the most difficult part of recording the Scratch podcast? He wants to know, and so do I.
All right. I would say the best part is the structure or lack thereof of the Scratch podcast is something that we struggle with because we try to keep it in conversational format, and sometimes that doesn't work. But sometimes you're talking and you've completely forgotten that you're podcasting. I'm just talking to my buddies. We're laughing. We're carrying on. We're having a good time, and there's those fleeting moments where it's like, man, I forgot that I was, we were doing this. I got to watch myself and what I say right here. I could divulge all the family secrets. And I wouldn't even, you completely let that guard down. And I think that must be what it's like, when you're in a good band and you hit that perfect, perfect sound, that perfect rhythm. And I say this a lot, if life's a golf game, you play for the good shots, and that's the good shots.
I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I personally speaking, I'm sure the listeners will completely disagree with this. But as I've got to know Chris and Jamie, I'm still trying to not get to know Steve. You develop a much better long-term relationship, don't you? And like you say, you just end up chatting with your mates, and I guess potentially there could be a pitfall to that. But I quite like that approach, the fact that we basically don't there's a vague, I emphasize a vague structure to, we start, we talk, we finish, but that's pretty much about it. We just chat away.
there was actually something that you mentioned on the one of the latest episodes of the podcast about an item. Was it your grandmother's ring
Yeah.
that went missing? Did you want to mention that?
Yeah, I'll tell that story here. It's a crazy story. Hey, cousin Paul. My cousin Paul's out there in the chat. Hi, cousin Paul.
What's up, Paul?
So
Hey, cousin Paul.
we are going to my mom, my aunt, and my uncle just sold my grandparents' house, which was like in the family for a couple generations. You know, I lived there. I was the youngest generation to live. I lived there with my grandparents before I moved in with my wife. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations of my family had lived there at one time or another.
Wow.
So it's been in the family for a while. After my grandmother had passed, they took our time cleaning out all the stuff. Finally, the house sold. We were cleaning it out, getting down to the nitty gritty. My aunt is walking around, you know, looking the house down one last time without the furniture in it. I will now stop the story and we will cut to about 7 years ago. 7 years ago, it was about 6 months after my grandfather had passed. We're sitting in the front room. My grandmother looks down and notices that the diamond on her wedding ring is not there. One of the prongs in the setting had broken and it's not there. She doesn't know when she lost it. She is devastated. So my family background, Italian American. These are very, very clean people, like overly clean people, like carpet lines all the time, like lines on the carpet from the vacuum, like,
Right.
you know, almost like, you know, when you see like a baseball field and the guys cut the grass just so, like, oh, grandma did it diagonally today, like, you know. So after we noticed this had happened, we started straining through, you know, as we started cleaning out the vacuum bags, we strained it, the furniture. I went through every piece of furniture myself, pulled all the cushions, stuck my hand down in as far as I could, you know what I mean? If I could take things apart, I did. We shook. I blew things out with the air gun. We did everything we could. We decided about a year after that, you know, it's gone. She may have lost it anywhere. Could have, you know, not have been in the house. We did all we could. So now we'll go back to present day. My aunt is just about to leave the house for the last time. They're about to go to turn the keys over. And, you know, she was kind of feeling like, did I do the right thing selling the house? Should we have kept it in the family? You know, she asks, you know, please, mom, dad, send me a sign, you know, let us know we did the right thing here. So she turns around, and I guess just the way she turned around, she saw something on the ground, like shined in the light. And my grandmother's diamond was right there on the ground.
Wow.
So my grandmother, so my aunt picked it up and left. It was just
wow.
Yeah, it must have been in that couch in the front room, because that was like literally the last 2 things to go were like a love seat, full-size couch combo. And it must have been just the way they picked it up and spun it, or, you know.
That's
wild.
That's wild.
That's crazy, right?
That's very, yeah.
That'll wake you up. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I would take that as a sign of, yeah, it was good that we sold this place, because, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, because if you knew my grandma, it was be like, well, it might not be a sign that we did the right thing, but there was no way that she was going to let somebody else have her diamond.
Oh.
So, you know, there is that, you know.
Oh, too funny. So does your aunt still have the diamond, and what happened to the ring?
Well, yeah, my aunt actually was the one that had the ring without the setting in it, so they're in the process of getting it fixed,
getting it reset. Awesome.
Yep. Nice. So yeah, I gave that couch where she was sitting a proctological exam. Like, you know, I went and cleaned it out as good as I could. So however it came out the bottom, I don't know, but it must have been stuck in there good and tight.
it wasn't going to give it up until it was leaving. That was awesome.
I guess it must have been like, it must have racked out, or when they spun it or put, it must have loosened something. But yeah, how about it?
That's crazy.
It was stuck to the bottom of your auntie's shoe for 20 years.
Would have been funny if that was some crazy story like that.
Yeah, like our stuck stuck in tire treads.
Yeah. Turns out it was stuck to the bottom of the remote the whole time.
Oh, okay.
That's one bit of loose change you don't want to lose down the back of the sofa, isn't it?
Yeah, how about it?
Yeah.
It had happened so long ago, I had put it out of my head that it had happened. So when they called me to tell me that they had found my grandmother's diamond, I was like, "What are you even talking about?" And then like, "Don't you remember?" I was like, "Oh yeah, wow, yeah."
Wow.
That's just good. So did you say you lived in that house as a kid with your grandparents?
After, not as a kid. I lived down the street from my parents' house. But once I got to be of like 22, 23 years of age, where I didn't need to be at home with my parents, but at the same time, and my grandparents had a big house, so I moved in with them. Assumed some of the, I don't want to make it out like I was there helping. I was there because I didn't have my crap together enough to go and get an apartment on my own. It was like one step out of the house. We'll call it what it is. I don't want to, killed the lily at all there. I was there eating all their food, but I was cutting the grass, and that's what they needed, and that's what I needed. So it worked out.
It worked out. It was an arrangement that worked for both sides. That's cool.
Yeah, my grandmother needed someone to yell at, and I needed somebody to occasionally go buy groceries. So I wasn't actually home much at that time. I was working a job with my dad's best friend, the guy that I call my uncle, and I mean, I wasn't home very much at all.
Well, that was kind of where I was sort of hoping that would take us, because I sort of want to find out about young Doc. When did you get into making, and was it sort of from your grandparents, or was it from your parents, or was it neither? And you just
that grandfather who we were talking about was an auto mechanic. His whole life had no other job ever, and he was a maker of sorts. When he retired from being an auto mechanic, he did little woodworking projects and had one of them little 16-inch Sears bouncing scroll saws, and he'd cut little patterns out. We still have some of that stuff around. He ruined a lot of nice furniture by strengthening it. He was good at doing that, taking really cheap like pine trim and putting bumpers on like good pieces of furniture so stuff didn't like slide off the back.
Sounds like my dad.
Yeah, he was real, and it didn't just like it wasn't like he did it and put a brad in there. He nailed, glued, and screwed it on there. It wasn't coming off.
Oh, he did it right. Yeah.
No, you could hang on that one piece, but. Yeah, so Pop was a maker like that, or handy of sorts. Not a woodworker, and I think I kind of fall in a very, very similar slot. I find myself to be like the maker mechanic style. I'm not really a woodworker. I have woodworking tools. I can make things out of wood, but I don't have that knowledge of movement of wood. I've never taken that time. I'm more of a generalist.
Gotcha.
And I had an uncle, actually, not really my uncle. My aunt's married to the guy, so I'm not technically blood related to him, but he was like a biker of sorts, and he was into a lot of different things. He was just really into cooking, and that's where I picked up the bug to cook, like men cooking. Like he was the one guy that like cooked old school like that, and I took right to that. So a lot from him too. And he's one of those people that every time I talk to him, he's completely invested into something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's always completely off the wall. It's always interesting to talk to him about. I mean, I could be like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And he could be like, "Yeah, I'm cutting women's hair now," and I'd be like, "Oh, man, cool, all right." You know, it doesn't. It's just I'm really into this one style of ladies' haircut from Italy. I'd be like, "Oh, all right, well, that's what's up. Very good."
That's what you're into.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
It's crazy, and I think that I picked that up from him. Just, you know, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You know, that's why I was talking before about punting projects. If I don't get overly invested in things for myself, so you can do something else.
Well, you don't have to be a master at something to have fun doing it. I mean, it's I don't
Right.
care. I mean, if any one of you guys want to come to my house and sit down and hand me a pair of scissors, I'll cut your hair. I don't know if you're going to be happy with what I do, but I'll be happy to do it. I'll get into it for a half an hour and move on. Okay.
Kind of reminds me of a TV advert that we used to have in the UK that Jamie and Steve might remember, but I can't remember exactly, but the punchline was getting a Lionel Blair haircut. And it was an advert for something, and somebody goes in, shows the picture to the barber and says, "I want a haircut like this." And he goes, "Oh, a Lionel Blair haircut," and cuts his hair, and it's nothing like the picture. And then, "That doesn't look anything like Lionel Blair." And he goes, "We'll do if he comes in here." And that was the punchline. So Steve obviously remembers it. But your sort of your kind of philosophy, I guess, Doc, comes across very much to me, and correct me if I'm getting the wrong end of the stick here, that it's much more about the enjoyment and having the fun of it than the kind of the technical finesse or the points, or this has got to be right and it's got to be done that way. It's more about I'm doing this because I want to enjoy it, and if I'm not enjoying it, then just kick it and
more times than not, I'm doing things because they have to get done. The enjoyment is something that's a dragon I chase every once in a while. I don't do much fun making these days. Do you hear these animals upstairs, by the way? This is great. There's like a Royal Rumble going on up there.
I do. I was like, you running chicken fights upstairs, or what's going on?
Sounds like my house.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene.
It's great.
Well, Doc, we should explain to people that you're actually an electrician by trade, right?
Yeah,
so, I mean,
I'm a tradesman. I work with my tools all day.
So yeah, coming home and picking up tools for fun. It's like my father was a professional photographer, okay, and I always wanted to learn. You know, maybe it was want to look up to Dad and be like him kind of thing as a kid. But I always wanted to learn photography. And the last thing he wanted to do when he got home was teach his kid photography. He was like, "I've been doing this all friggin' day. Are you kidding me? Let's go use a saw. I want to go make something." So it's like I can totally understand the not really enthused to go out and use tools for fun because I do this 5 friggin' days a week for 80 hours.
Yeah. I've recently changed jobs back to I've gone back out into the field to a job I had about 8 years ago. So everything is changing again. And I've been working on my house a little bit more lately, that kind of stuff. So the making, like I said, it's more of have to than one. I've been really kind of not hurting, but thinking about spinning something on my wood lathe coming up sometime soon. Right. Yeah. But I just haven't gotten around to the where and the what and the when, but that's coming, where I'm going to put the heater on in the shop and spend a little time with my headphones on.
I've just realized the real use for Lenny.
Yeah.
Do you turn him upside down and go dunk, dunk, dunk on the roof sometimes?
No. If this calm demeanor drops and then I go upstairs and I start laying it down, but my wife's upstairs on patrol right now. If she's not calling for me, everything is good. They must be having a good time.
It's times like that I'm glad I live in a bungalow.
No one's come through the floor yet.
Yeah. By the way, if there's ever a sweeping shortage that rocks the nation, Doc's the guy to turn to, because I mean that guy can sweep up freaking anything.
Yeah,
all right?
I'm a sweeper.
Yeah.
Speaking about your shop, Doc, you've probably got arguably one of the best drill presses out there. Can you explain to everyone why I would think that?
I own a very rare. I guess the head is what's rare. The drill press is like a 1944 Walker Turner drill press, which by itself is
Cool.
yeah, rocking cool. You know, no holes in the table. It's beautiful. But it was outfitted by the people that I bought it from. Well, the people that liquidated it with a quad drill. It was like a multi four-headed turret head, so it spins out, so you can actually load 4 different things into it and change it on the fly. So if I wanted to like counter bore a hole, I could drill the inside, then flip the entire head to a different head with a different drill bit in, and then change it. And then, you know, if I wanted to deburr it, I could change it to another one.
That sounds like a machinist's drill or something.
It is the company, the people I bought it from made bells. It was a bell casting company. That's what they did professionally. So it came from a machine shop. It's not like a wood, because the fourth head, it's got 2 half-inch chucks on it, Chris, 1 3/8 chuck on it, and the fourth head is fitted with an auto tap. So it takes different collets. You change the collet out, and then you can feed it like a regular like tapered tap in there. And you drill the hole to the proper size, flip it to the auto tap. You pull down on the thing, so when you're pulling down, it's spinning
the tap.
It's spinning the tap clockwise. But as soon as you pull off on it, it's got a clutch assembly in it, so you can back out, and it'll thread itself out the other way.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when I go out and when I have to use it, which I don't use it really enough to justify having it here, but when I have to use it, that's how angels do that.
That's how the gods have invented things. Yes,
this is what. Yeah.
Well, that's obviously set up for line work. I mean, it's because there's somebody that's sitting on that thing all day long, pivoting that head, drill this hole, tap that hole, round it off, count it off. Okay, move it on. Next one, same thing. So yeah, it's set up for production. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it's really neat.
It's actually I don't know where my phone is, but it's actually the wallpaper on my phone, and it has been for years.
The head on Doc's drill press has been your wallpaper.
Yeah, Doc's drill press.
Well, Jamie, Doc, you need to get out more, buddy.
No offense to Doc, but Jamie, there's a life waiting for you somewhere that you really should go try to find.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, because it is cool, but I mean, let's see it.
Just if we click on Jamie, does that?
Yeah. The picture went away. There you go. There it is. That's pretty awesome.
Jamie's phone.
And for those of you listening to us on SoundCloud and iTunes, yeah, just imagine a 4-headed drill press and you've got it.
It's basically the original multi-tool.
On iTunes and SoundCloud, come over to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you come across something like that then, Doc? I mean, that's not an off the shelf.
A friend of mine happened to be in the right place at the right time. He was helping this company clean businesses out. He went into this place. He took a bunch of pictures, and yeah. Do you want this? I had to buy another drill press with it to get that one. It was a Craftsman 150. It really broke my heart. I had to sell it, but I didn't have enough money to keep both of them. I kind of overextended myself to buy the 2 together, so I had to flip the one. The one didn't come off a truck. It went from a truck to another truck right in my driveway.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, my buddy was waiting there with cash, so
hey, that works.
Cash is good.
Oh yeah, it worked out though. I got it here, and I'm still working on buying all the taps because it was a really expensive endeavor to buy all the collets that they go into.
I bet.
I mean, you say you happen to be in the right place at the right time. Where is the place? Because is it Pennsylvania you're from? Am I right in?
Yeah, northeastern PA for the most part, eastern PA, getting up towards the northern end where it starts getting cold. That's me.
And have you always been an electrician in those parts, or have you had any other?
Not really. Like make a living jobs. I worked at a car wash for a while when I was a young guy. I installed appliances when I was in high school. I worked for my uncle, who was a general contractor, for about a year and a half. I did some site construction work, digging and whatever, but I've never really made a living or had like a good job that wasn't electrical work. I did telecommunications, but I consider that electrical work. So I cut my teeth doing telco work and then moved on to, line voltage stuff.
And was that sort of a career choice? Was it was it a choice? Was it something I want to go and do that, or was it something you just going along there you end up?
That's where I ended up. I dawdled for a very, very long time trying to figure out and find my way and what I was going to do.
I think a lot of us do that, especially and I don't want to age Doc any more than I have to, but he's nowhere near my age. But I mean, I think that sort of no
one's that old.
But that generation of people that for that 30-year span, let's put it that way, we kind of all found our way and then kind of fell into what we ended up doing. There wasn't a lot of pressure back in the day for us to go to college and become this, and that's what we did, and that's all we've ever known. I mean, I spent time as a freaking professional painter when I was in college for new home construction and things of that nature. So I mean, and I ended up working in radio. So dot those I's and cross those T's. I mean, how do you go from that to this? I mean, it's like it's you kind of fall into what you end up finding to be your life's work, and you either end up liking it or not. I mean, I remember I got into restaurant work as a kid, and then picked it back up later and became a chef. And at no point in time did I ever think I was going to get involved in cooking. But I did, because I kind of fell into it, and then I fell out of ways with the owner and I ended up going on a different career path because I didn't want to work in restaurants anymore. So it's like, I don't know. I get where you're coming from there, Doc. It's like, you kind of fall into something and you stick with it because you're making the money, you're doing good, and you don't hate it. You may not be
never good when you fall into something when you're cooking, Chris.
Well, I never did that, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that I work with some of them that it's like their life's ambition to do electrical work.
Right.
I don't see it like that. I don't hate it or anything like that. I just saw that was my of taking my technical abilities or, my mechanical abilities, we'll call it that. And I had to do something. So I was going to end up doing some sort of professional maintenance I thought would be good for me. And that's just the trade that I was able to get into easiest, I guess. So that's what I am.
I think there's kind of a fine line between, having the sort of, I don't want to use the whole, proper job or normal work life cliches, but a fine line between having a job or career that you absolutely love and it's the only thing you want to do, and you don't do anything else outside of that, and having a job where it's not what you absolutely are passionate about. It's not your reason for breathing, but it is the reason you're able to do the thing that you love doing, whether it's in getting on and your job's all right, doing whatever, but it allows you to buy your golf club. You love playing golf or whatever it is. So
I love the sound effects in the background. There's like, Doc, you have a great house. I can tell you right now.
Oh, yeah. That was my wife.
Murder in Pennsylvania.
I love it.
It snowed the other day, so they couldn't go outside at all today. So basically, we had the boys and couldn't run them. So I think she's trying to knock the crap out of them right now. So after dinner.
That answers my question. My next question was, if you want to be, you're married, right? You got kids? I mean,
I'm married. I married guy. I got two boys. They're 6 and 2.
And they obviously keep your wife busy.
Yeah, and right now they're exercising the floor joists for weak spots,
which is awesome.
Yep.
Going back a little while, Doc. We was talking about cooking and how you've got a bit of a love for it. So I guess what I want to know is does Doc have a signature dish?
Not really. I I can cook like my grandmother's grandmother. Like I learned that immigrant style, and I can cook things from scratch, like Italian food.
All right, I'm gonna bet just on an off chance bet that Doc makes one hell of a lasagna. I bet you can probably put together a lasagna that will sit me down for the rest of the evening.
Oh, it'll put a hurting on you.
I knew it.
One of them half sheet pans. If I make a half sheet pan of lasagna, it weighs over 10 pounds.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I make my own pasta. That's something I really enjoy. So as well as cooking, I do a lot of stuff with dough, baking. I'm into bread. I don't do much savory baking like cookies.
Yeah, I don't either.
I make chocolate chip cookies for the boys, but like I've never really attempted or wanted to make a cake. Be like, oh, let's bake some cakes, but like bread and stuff, I'm into that and that kind of cooking.
Nummy.
You mean biscuits?
That too. Yeah, whatever. Whatever you call it.
Whatever you want to call it, it's fine. Yeah.
I'm just happy we're eating.
Awesome.
Oh dear.
So do you do most of the cooking in your family, or you just kind of switch off with your wife and whoever has the time, they decide to throw something together, or is it mostly Happy Meals?
No.
No.
I do all the cooking on the weekends, and I probably cook 2 or 3 nights a week.
Oh, awesome.
My wife is a teacher, so she has a full-time job as well, and if she has at different times done all the cooking if I'm working on something on the house or working late or taking on another job or whatever. But more times than not on the night that she cooks, if I don't have anything that I'm actually physically doing right then or have to be doing, I'm going to be up over her shoulder and I'll probably just kind of like tag in and start doing it. So the things that she does are pretty well defined as her meals, and
gotcha.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know.
My wife does that to me on the weekends because I predominantly cook every night of the week for my family when my son was here, and even now I still do. But my wife has a habit on the weekends where she's home and she's not doing anything, that I'll be in the kitchen. She knows what we're having for dinner and she wants to come in and supervise. Oh man, hey, you want to get on a cook's nerves? Look over his shoulder. It's like, get out of my kitchen and get out of here now.
Yeah.
No, I don't need that.
I don't do well with that.
No, me either.
It's pretty funny though. I do a lot of cooking. I cook at my parents' house. I cook at my in-laws' house. And one time I was over at my in-laws and we were doing something like that. And someone came in and questioned what I was doing. And my mother-in-law ran her out of the kitchen. She's like, leave Jared alone when he's cooking, or else we don't need to have a scene, especially he's probably been drinking wine. So, I was like, oh yeah, I'll tell you right where to get off the bus. Here you go.
I could totally relate to that.
Yeah, if I have my apron on and that towel's over my shoulder,
get the hell out of the way.
Look out.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have to sort of confess, in terms of cooking personally, I don't dislike cooking, but I don't enjoy it like some people. I mean, being a chef, Chris, and enjoying your cooking, Doc. I know there's people out there who either are or have been professional chefs, and they absolutely love it. But for me, it's like a functional thing. You have to cook in order to eat. You have to eat in order to carry on doing what you want to do. But having met and been with Kat, she is an awesome cook, and I am more than happy just to stand back and let her cook some amazing stuff. When we were on the road trip this year, we went and stopped by Al's Hack Shack. And
yep, he's another former chef. Yeah,
well, exactly. For anyone that doesn't know, Al still is a chef, and he cooks like he makes in the Hack Shack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that in a good way. anyway, we're clearing up after tea, whatever day it was, and I think we'd had, that's it, he barbecued a chicken. And it sounds like a fairly simple thing. It's the most amazing barbecue chicken I've ever tasted in my life. You've got to get the recipe. Anyway, so we picked all the bones clean and put them on a plate. And I said to him, you know, where do you want this? And he goes, oh, just put it in the fridge. And I was like, no, the plate with the chicken bones and stuff. Because what I meant was, have you got a bag or something to put it in the bin to get rid of it? That's what I meant. And he goes, yeah, put it in the fridge. I'm like, what are you going to do with those? He goes, oh, I'll roast them in the oven and then I'll make them into a soup.
Make chicken broth, absolutely.
Exactly. Well,
yeah, that's how you make stock.
I didn't know that. I don't cook. Cooking for me is 3 minutes in the pinger or read the instructions on the back. That's my thing.
Macaroni and cheese and mix it up and we're good to go.
Basically, yeah. Or you just sit down at the allotted place and you start using the diggers from the outside in until you get to the plate. That's my knowledge. So then Al starts, going through teaching me, because Kat's like, yeah, you can do all this, make this soup. We started making chicken soup with the chicken
bones
leftovers, because I've said on the podcast before, and Jared, you'll know into this. Kat will make a roast chicken for Sunday roast, and then all the leftovers get put into a pie. So she'll make the pastry for a chicken pie on a Tuesday, and with the pastry that's left over, she'll make like little cakes and tarts or whatever, mince pies, that sort of thing, because everything that's left over goes into the next thing. Well, now we're using the chicken bones, and like lunches 3 times a week is the most amazing chicken soup I've ever tasted in my life. It's just way ahead.
I don't know, and Doc probably will concur. Cooking and spending some time, if you enjoy cooking, and a lot of people just need to get into it to find out they enjoy it. But it's a type of making in its own right. I mean, it's just, the fact that it's a necessity, of life is one thing, but if you can turn it into a making kind of thing, I mean, I enjoy the hell out of cooking. I really do. I enjoy it because you're actually building something. When it turns out right, oh boy, brother, you know it. It's like, oh yeah, that was good. That's
for sure.
I totally agree with everyone. Yeah, it is a very similar making mentality and knowledge base. I enjoy eating first and foremost. I enjoy learning about cooking in terms of. I think I'd be quite interested if I stood next to a chef all day and listened to what they had to say about how they do things and why they do particular things and stuff like that. The actual standing there and doing the cooking is not. I don't dislike it. I don't find it boring or uninteresting, but I don't get that same level of enjoyment out of it as I do the sort of the knowing why they do, just why they cook the bones up and why they do that, as opposed to actually doing it. If that makes sense.
I don't cook either. I'm not very into cook. I find that if I cook, I don't want to eat it afterwards. That's probably because I'm a really bad cook. But
what's gone into it.
My hunger just disappears. But I do a lot of baking. I'm the baker of the house. So I'll bake bread and I'll do sourdoughs and I'll do anything to do with the science of baking. I love that stuff. But cooking, no.
Well, see, that's actually not that unusual, because I mean, when I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking and I'm spending like 3-4 hours making a meal, by the time that meal is done, I'm not hungry because I've been smelling
all the bits as you put it in.
Well, it's not only that. It's just I've been smelling it and doing it for so long that by the time it sits down to eat it, it's like I'm not hungry anymore. It's like cooking for Thanksgiving dinner for 12 people. You spend hours in the kitchen doing it, and by the time everything's done, it's time for you to eat, and you go, I'm really not hungry. It's like, I'm done.
By the time it's done, I've eaten so many of the raw ingredients. Who could ever possibly be hungry? If I'm making lasagna, I've eaten half of the thing of mozzarella. Probably some other stuff. That's how I eat. I cook.
Exactly.
So, I couldn't possibly slice 2 loaves of bread. I've sliced half of 1 loaf and eaten it while I've been working on
Do you find, Jared, when you're like you kind of joke about eating the raw ingredients and whatnot, that's it's all part and parcel of the doing it and all the rest of it. But do you find, to kind of put it back into the electrical side, and we've kind of touched on this already, if you're out installing electrics 5 days a week and you get home at the weekend, like Chris said with the photography, and your other half says, well, we need a new socket there, or we need that light fitting changed, you're just like, oh, just get someone in to do it. I don't want to know. Do you find that, or are you, oh yeah, I've got all the stuff, I can do it?
Sometimes it's hard to motivate myself to work on my own home. Lately, I've been in a pretty good headspace of getting it done. I think we're going to try to move this spring, try to get a little bit bigger house with a wrestling ring for the boys. See if we can get one that has
extra floor.
Yeah, something with an extra thick floor or a padded room. But yeah, something just a little bit bigger. So I've been working pretty hard around here trying to tie up some loose ends and, you know, do things that I wouldn't normally care about if I were staying here.
Just button up the house, getting it ready for sale, right?
Yeah, and you know, winterizing things. If you're too slow to get ready for winter, you get kind of screwed. So that's how it goes down.
That's me every year. I've been talking about insulating my shop for the past 5 years, and I've yet to do it. And every January, February, I get out there and I go, I need to do this. I really need to do this. You know, August rolls around and it just never freaking happens. It's like, I don't care.
I think there's a massive correlation between all the types of making, in so much as there is a particular mindset, because to me there's just too many instances where it can be coincidence. You've got like Chris and his photography and his cooking and his making and his woodwork, and you've got Jared with his electrical side and his cooking and the link back to previous generations and whatnot. I just noticed in the background there's a couple of guitars. Are you a musical person as well? Sorry, he's trying to eat his tea.
No, I am not, like the guitars would suggest. I have a different type played, and I can, but not well. Not like you've had my buddy Eloy on the show, our friend Eloy. Like I can't just like pick up the guitar, start noodling around, and start singing. I can learn a song and play a song, and I can noodle little bits, but it's not effortless. It's not one of those things I can do without thinking about it.
See, again, I think there's a correlation there with music and making, because we don't all make stuff out of wood or stuff out of metal or whatever it is effortlessly, but there's a desire to want to be accepting of it's not going to be perfect, or I'll do it to that standard because that's the level of enjoyment I get out of it. I just find that there's too much of a coincidence there to not be connected.
I think it is.
Anyone else thinks?
I definitely think it is. I mean, and Doc, I don't mind telling you, that's a cool ass bass you have behind you too. That's a 5-string bass.
Yeah, which would suggest I could play it, but that's not the case.
No, but it's not a usual bass. You don't normally see a lot of 5-string basses, and that's pretty cool. And that's probably why you got it too, right?
Yeah, much like a welder, they'll sell you a 5-string bass no matter if you can use it or not. So
sure. Here you go.
You can buy this stuff. They'll just sell it to you even if you don't know how to use it. So you can have it. That's the easy part.
Yeah,
you're just like all those YouTube woodworkers, aren't you, with their fancy old-fashioned tools in the background, but they never use them.
Yep. Yeah, that's me.
Just so everyone's clear, that's perfectly acceptable, by the way.
And it's probably most likely they probably do use them. They just don't film using them. But whatever, it's okay. We're getting on time, boys. So we've probably got to start thinking about wrapping this up. Anybody got any shout outs they want to do?
Yeah.
Jamie, go for it.
Right, but before I do mine, I've got the old Jamie's page.
Oh God, here we go. There's 10 minutes gone. All right, go ahead.
It is actually quite a big one, and it's the first one is stickers, and it refers to Maker Central coming up. Now, obviously, Maker Central coming up. There's always a big sticker exchange coming up, and we've managed to get you a discount on your stickers, and on the checkout price, you can get a £20 discount or store credit on the checkout price.
Awesome.
So what I'll do at the end of the live show, so it will already be on the website and the Facebook page, is I'll put a link to all you've got to do is click the link and it'll take you to the website where you'll automatically receive £20 store credit off the checkout price. So
Awesome. Send me that link, Jamie, so I can put it in the description when this comes out on Wednesday.
Yep. Okay. No worries.
All right. Awesome. That's cool. Right. Good for you, buddy.
And the rest of it is all about the twos for the gaming. So the first one is I managed to surpass 2,000 subscribers.
Awesome! Congratulations!
Thank you for everybody.
Well done, JP.
Way to go, buddy.
Our good friend and ex-host of the show, Joe Whittaker, passed 20,000 subscribers. So
well done, Joe.
Heath Knuckles recently passed 200,000 subscribers.
Woohoo! Well done, Heath.
Attaboy.
And Mr. Bobby Duke passed 2 million subscribers.
Holy moly, that's amazing.
Who's that?
So, well done, Bobby Duke.
Well done, Bobby.
What is that, like some is that like some sort of YouTuber, Bobby Duke?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
The Duke of Bobby, and that's not even a proper English title, but whatever.
And finally, Steve Twidell probably lost 200.
Woo!
He got booted, which is not unusual for Steve.
Yeah. But with my shout out, now my shout out this week goes to a guy, and I believe he's from Sweden. His name's called Elias Klingvall, and he does some awesome segmenting work on the lathe, and it's right up on par with Kyle Toth. And he definitely deserves more subscribers than what he's got now. And he found his channel about maybe a week ago. But yeah, he does some real incredible work.
Awesome.
So yeah, Elias Klingvall.
All right, link will be in the description. Awesome. Cool. I'll check it out.
That's pretty cool. And I haven't watched that channel, but I saw the link that you said about the segmented stuff, and it got me to thinking about how I know Steve hates segmented stuff, but I could be tempted back into doing some more segmented stuff.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
Yeah,
that's the great thing about making. There's so many things that you can use to make stuff with, and ways to do it. And even once you pick one of those, there's so many little kind of avenues.
Unless you want to do a chair. Unless you want to do a chair, then don't do it.
I think I went off segmenting when I segmented 3 million CDs.
Oh my god! Yeah,
that will do it. That will do it for sure. So before I mention my shout out, which actually I think is not necessarily a turner, but I found him through turning. I just want to kind of redress the sticker thing, if I may, very quickly, Jamie, because I don't think you mentioned it. The company that Jamie's talking about is the company that we all individually use for our own stickers, and also for the podcast stickers, and I also use them for the road trip stickers as well, so we can vouch for the quality, etc.
And the ones that we got were actually the kind of the cheapest ones that they did as well, and they were still good quality stickers. So if you wish to improve your stickers by paying a little bit more, then that's obviously your choice.
Yeah, they're really good for putting up in high spots. They take altitude really well.
Yeah, well, Steve took a massive roll of my stickers and was slapping them on everybody's face.
So we know
I almost got a few slaps back.
Well, I was going to say I've actually got my sticker on the back of my phone, and it is now admittedly looking pretty tatty, but that's
Shameless
got no
plug.
It's got no coating on it, because you can, like Jamie said, we've got the cheapy ones. The previous company I used, I had them coated to supposedly to be permanent, and that started to peel off, and the actual printing was gone, and that obviously lives in my pocket with my keys. No loose change, obviously, because I'm skinned, but they are definitely good quality there. And you know, that's that. But back to what we were actually talking about, shout outs. Thanks for reminding me, Steve. My shout out, I hope I get this right, because I was organised this week. Whoa, I know, hold the front page. And I sent Chris this, what, Tuesday was it?
Yeah, it was really very early. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Because I knew I'd forget otherwise. So my shout out this week is a guy called Mike Pickett. On Instagram, he is Knot and Burl Woodworks, but he also has a YouTube channel, which is where I found him, because he does all sorts of little makey bits. He does a bit of turning and this, that, and the other. And he put me on to a new method of turning slimline pens, because I was always put off slimline pens because I think they always look like someone's tied a bootlace around a sausage. Too tightly, and I didn't really like them, but he does a slightly modified version of that, which I know isn't new, but it's awesome. So go and check him out, and he's a really nice guy as well. So yeah,
awesome. Mr. Twidell, do you have somebody that you would like to give some love to this week, besides your doctor who prescribed you wonderful medication?
She did. She was a very good doctor. It's cool meds. Thank you, doctor. Yes, I have a shout out. A guy, R. Humphrey. I've only been following him a short while, but he's been doing some really cool inlay stuff with bowl turning. So basically, what he does is he takes the bowl blank, and he routes out designs in into the blank. Then he fills that with resin, and then he turns a bowl. And he turns it so thin down to the bottom that the design then shows through the bottom of the bowl when he's hollowing it out, which is a really cool idea. And he does some really awesome designs. Now, what I liked about one particular video, which is his most recent video, it was kind of a puzzle effect. He routed out a puzzle in the bottom of a bowl, but he wasn't afraid to show his failures. And I like that in makers. I like it when people actually don't do all the special editing and all that, and they actually show their mistakes so others can learn from it. And he said that the mistake that he made was using the wrong resin. It was a 30-minute fast drying resin, and it got a lot of bubbles in it. But it still looked like an amazing bowl. But check him out, R. Humphrey. Yeah, very good channel.
Got it. Cool. Doc, you got anybody you want to give some love to this week, or you just kind of
I just want to spread some love all around. Send love to you guys and everybody out there in the chat.
There you go.
Anybody listening?
Doc's an equal opportunity lover.
Yeah, big lickety wet kiss right in the face from Doc.
He's the Saint Bernard of wet kisses this week. All right. Oh, that's awesome, Richard. I don't have a shout out this week. I haven't had a chance to spend much time with YouTube, so I guess that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Well, we expect 2 next week then. In that case.
There you go. All right, we can do that.
Excellent. Fantastic. So make sure you go and check out the Scratched podcast, because I'm sure Doc and his crew would appreciate that. I'm going to certainly try and listen to more of those in the future. I don't listen to hardly anyone, so don't hold it against me specifically. But Doc, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being such a good sport tonight. I can honestly say, and I haven't said this for a long time, I honestly say, I think this is the fastest moving podcast episode I can remember, because when Chris said we're nearly running out of time, I had to double check, because I didn't actually believe him to start off with. So zoomed along tonight. So huge thank you to everyone that's been beavering away in the chat and busy with us tonight. And we don't do Patreon, obviously. Well, not obviously, but we don't anyway. But we might have a little after show thing going on for the people that do stick around for the live thing. So I don't know if Jared's got a few minutes possibly to spare towards the end. We don't go on forever, but
I have to go upstairs and serve my soup.
There you go.
That's fine. That's no problem at all. We might hang around. We might not. We don't know.
I can come back down. That's fine.
If you're listening live, stay tuned and find out with everyone else. But if you are listening to this after the fact on your favourite fruit-based,
Tell you what,
Go
I'd like to pop in for a second, and besides Scratch Podcast, I'd like to shout out the other two podcasts that are on our podcast network, which is our same feed. We use the same feed. We have different shows come up, so also you can check out Trampled Underfoot, which is Eloy Escajeda and Mark Lindsay. They do a good show, kind of random, East Coast, West Coast, different generational thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and Ryan Bitters and Michael Lawing do another show called Hella 90s, which is just a short podcast, like where they just talk about something from that era. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned those guys because they're putting in the work too. And
awesome. No, happy to do it.
Yeah,
cool.
Thank you.
Can we get something like that put in the shows, Chris?
Yeah, I can take care of it.
For those, so we can check those out. So yeah, awesome. So if you're listening live, stick around afterwards because I don't know what's going to happen. So neither do you. If you're listening afterwards on your favourite fruit-based podcast feed, you don't get to listen to that unfortunately because Chris will chop it off at the end.
Yes, I will.
So come and listen to us live if you can. If you are still listening, thank you very much. If you're not, we'll say what we like about you. So until next week, we'll have to say cheerio. So toodaloo.
Have a great week, everybody.
See
Ouch.
you later.
Take it easy.
And done. All right, cool.
Wicked. Are we sticking around for a few minutes or what's going to happen? I noticed actually this week the numbers haven't dropped for the viewers. So people are sticking around to see what's going on.
Well, I haven't clicked the button and nobody else has either. So I guess that answers your question, Richard. I guess we're sticking around. Hi, we're sticking around.
I'll be right back.
If you're not sick of us yet, you soon will be. You soon will be.
Got an extra one now. Somebody's come back. Awesome.
My dog is dancing, so I have to take my dog out because if I don't, he's going to wet my carpet. I'll be right back. Hold on.
No,
You probably drank the beer you spilled earlier. He's drunk.
He's swerving backwards and forwards to the line. No, awesome. But no, Jamie, I thought it would be quite poignant and important to mention, the kind of the backstory with the stickers because it's all well and good giving out a link, but the fact that we all use them, it kind of gives it. I'm happy to tell people about them because they are pretty good.
Oh yeah, without doubt, yeah.
I should check it out because I haven't used that company yet.
Yeah, I've put it on the Facebook page already. I'm just uploading it to the website now. So,
cool.
Yeah,
I'm not actually sure how many stickers I'm going to need for. Well, it depends between now and now. I've still got a roll and a half from the ones I got for Maker Central this year. So
a roll and a half. Lovely.
Yeah, a roll and a half. But I got the numbers about right, or rather, Jamie got the numbers about right for the road trip because I haven't got that many left. Because they were sort of reserved for the people on the legs and anyone that we bumped into and stuff like that. So it's all good. Oh, excuse me. What have you guys been up to this week? Because you've been fairly quiet on the scrolling side, Jamie. Obviously, you've been putting your feet up and.
Yeah, I've not really got a choice. So at the moment, I'm kind of not able to do anything.
So I've been mostly in pain. And must admit, I'm struggling here this evening. I just got a cramp. I got a cramp in my back halfway through the show, and I had to get. Sorry, apologies. I had to get up and leave, and go stretch it out, and come back again. So, yeah.
I'm going to have a quick look in the chat to see who is still kicking around because I was having so much fun talking to Doc. I was kind of ignoring the chat of what was going on, so I do apologise to everyone that was listening.
Well, it's just as well because they're just calling you names. That's basically what they've been doing all night is calling you names, Richard.
That's fair enough.
Jamie, I don't know if you saw the message I sent to you while we were doing the show. Did you have a link to those stickers? Because there were people out in the chat that were wondering.
I did try posting it out there, but for some reason it blocked me from doing it.
Oh, that's okay. That's crazy, but okay. Anyway, that link will be Jamie will post that on Facebook when we're done here, and we'll have the link in the description when the show comes out on Wednesday.
I'm posting it on the website now as well.
Okay, awesome.
So, not really for you guys, but I've just been flicking back through the chat. SK Crafts. I apologise, I don't recognise the name, but if you message me your address, I'll get something out into the post to you. I'm desperately trying to be more organised, because I say to people, yeah, ping me your address and I'll send something out in the post. And then they send me the address and I look at it, and in my head, you know, it's like a text message that you just reply to in your head and then actually don't. And then like 6 weeks later, someone will go, did you post it, or did I? It's like, it's been so long. Because I'm a nightmare. But
and Paul, I love you. I'm not going to say any more than that. I just do. Anyway, that's.
I'm not afraid to do a shameless plug. I've got new merch. I've got a merch shop now.
Yeah, you do. That's right.
Fork and Bananas.
Hold that thought.
Yeah. So yeah, it's on Teasley. Just go and look up Temple Boy Turn-ins and buy stuff
Steve
and help me pay for the repair of my car.
Yeah. That's through no fault of his own. Steve's car had some issues earlier in the week, and which is why Steve has been on drugs too, because Steve didn't come away from that unscathed.
Steve's going to go and take more drugs in a minute when he leaves here. So Steve needs to.
Well, that kind of explains a lot.
Yeah. That'll explain the fork and bananas.
Well, that's kind of a chicken and an egg scenario, isn't it? Which came first?
Yeah.
I have new merch as well.
It explains why
the temple tantrum.
Oh my gosh!
All
right, guys, shut up. We're not going to mention that
during the week.
I have new merch as well, guys. It's not my own though. It's much better than that.
Oh,
yeah,
Anna
I got one of them. Yeah,
Anna, gotta love Anna.
Anna merch.
Yeah,
gotta love Anna. Awesome.
You're only cool if you have an Anna T-shirt.
Yeah, and that went to a good cause too. So much love goes out to Anna for that. It was very gracious of her. Gentlemen, I'm going to take off because I've got some work to do to put this thing together for Wednesday release. So, Doc, brother, you know I love you.
Chris, it was lovely as always. Good
as
hanging
always.
out with you. We should do it again sometime.
Sometime soon. Let's do that thing.
All right, buddy.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, the rest of you guys take care. And if you folks out in the chat are still hanging around, get a life.
Really make better decisions.
I'm just kidding. I love you, Paul. I'll see you later too, buddy. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Bye,
Catch you later, Chris.
Love you.
Later.
See you.
Wicked.
Yeah,
Well,
Doc, where's my soup?
I'll send you some in the mail.
Thank you.
You got it.
You just get this mulchy brown envelope.
That's all right.
I would
suck the soup from the envelope.
I try to send it in a bag. I don't know. I'm sure we could figure it out.
Yeah.
Put a load of sawdust in it in case it spills, and then it will absorb.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Solution based
soup.
Speaking of which,
Nice.
I got to go upstairs and feed those. Feed the rest
I'm
of the
gonna
team.
go. I'm gonna go and get drugs.
That sounds way better than soup, but
Yeah.
soup time here. So I'll see everybody later on. Lovely hanging out as always. Thanks for having
Doc.
me.
You're a
Cheers
gent.
for coming on, Doc. It was awesome.
Awesome, wonderful. See you guys
See you,
later.
bud.
Take it easy,
Catch
mate.
you later, buddy. And also to the 23 or 4 or however many numbers in the watching, we will see you next week. And we have a life too. So enjoy yours. No, Steve doesn't. But anyway,
No.
we'll catch you later, folks. Cheers for watching.
Bye.